Alright, Trial Mob, so after about a week of really getting not much news at all, we suddenly got hit with some of the best stuff that's come out in a few weeks. I'm definitely excited to share. As you guys can see, we have a stacked playlist today of just a whole bunch of different releases that are going to be coming out soon. Some really exciting stuff, so let's go ahead and break it down. Alright, so to kick everything off directly from Joytoy, we are getting a whole bunch of new stuff. So these right here are all basically unpainted bucks that we don't know exactly what they're from. I got a feeling that these are most likely from the Cult of Seha, so these are probably going to be just a follow-up to that series, but maybe these are opposing factions because these don't have the same kind of like steampunk look. When I first saw this, I honestly thought it was Raiden and was like, no, Joytoy is going to be making Mortal Kombat. That's insane. Now, doesn't seem to be the case, but I can kind of see some of that, basically some of the inspiration that they might have gotten for some of these characters. So really cool looking stuff. Now again, obviously not necessarily Mortal Kombat, but you get what I mean. Some of these figures do look that way, and of course some of these are coming with closed fists, so it makes them look like they're fighters. I imagine they will come with weapons to hold. Joytoy is known for doing that, so these guys most likely will come with a set of weapons. But what is nice is that this kind of does remind me of Water Margin. I'm not a big fan of Water Margin the way they look. I think this is a better way of doing it, so I do hope that if they're trying to take over kind of like that Dynasty Warriors or that kind of like, you know, Asian style of warriors, be it, you know, Chinese or Japanese, whatever the way they decide to take it. I am very appreciative of seeing this. I only hope that they start coming out with samurai soon, because we have covered a few things before that were customs based on Joytoy figures that were samurai, so I would love to see that in the near future. Now, this one right here is very, very interesting. As you can tell, this was the only photo that we got, and we didn't get a face. They seem to have covered that on purpose. I mean, obviously they covered it on purpose. Now, I'm wondering who this is. Part of me wants to say this is from World of Warcraft. Can anyone tell me what they think it is? Because listen, if this is potentially a World of Warcraft character, I am blown away by the fact that they were able to get that license as well. But I highly doubt it. It's probably something from World of Warcraft that they've just adopted and made their own. But again, very cool looking. I'm just curious on why we didn't get the face. Is this supposed to be an orc? Maybe it's not a human. Maybe it's something else. I mean, the proportions definitely look pretty crazy. This is going to be a big boy, but you know, this leaves a lot for us to basically imagine for ourselves what this could. Switching over to the next one, this definitely looks a little bit more like the cult that we got before. This definitely goes in with the motif, the leather jacket, some of the spiky bits, and of course the gas mask. This definitely looks like probably the next member of the cult, but we will see if, again, could this be a rival one? Are they going to color them differently and name them some other cult? So that'll be interesting to see. Now, this right here is why I kind of say I'm wondering if we're going to end up getting another cult, because as you can tell here, this definitely is a lot different. And while the other ones are a bit more of kind of like a tribal look to them, this one right here is more of like an actual cowboy lawmaker style, you know, somebody that would actually be putting in order, not necessarily being chaotic. So I'm just wondering if, like, you know, obviously at some point they have to give us some direct competitor to the actual cult itself. So this could be one of many, you know, the sheriff, you know, maybe we'll get like a, you know, sheriff cult or whatever the case may be. So this one definitely is a little bit different, and hopefully that means we are getting another set of different characters. Now, this last one is more cryptic than the rest of them because instead of it being an actual action figure, it's a ginormous axe. So it's hard for me to tell here whether or not this one goes to the unfaced one that we got earlier with the hook hand, like big dude. This looks a little too big even for that guy, and it's probably going to be kind of weighty. So I'm not sure if this is just going to be potentially, we're going to get new photos of a 1/12 scale, because this is, you know, huge, man. I don't think any of the normal 1/18 stuff is going to be able to hold this all that well. So, I mean, they maybe could pull it off, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get solicitations for either a larger figure or, yeah, I don't know, it's got to be something else. I don't know what this could be too, but it looks rad. It looks absolutely enormous. And again, it's just cool to see Joytoy expanding on their line. Now, just as you thought the Wahammer line might finally be coming to a more of a sizzle, Joytoy decided to make it a full burn by giving us these beautiful figures. So these are the blade guards. of the Space Wolves Primaris units. So this is what I have always imagined the Primaris in terms of the Space Wolves would look like. I know that we already got that other set, and I do like them, and of course we do get different style of heads, but one of my biggest problems with those figures is that they look way too much like the regular other Primaris units. It's just a color palette that's changed, which is, you know, it's helpful, it's nice, but it's so cool to see actual Viking looking figures right here. Look at these guys with the fur pelts. The two on either side have helmeted heads only, as far as I can tell, but they're, you know, they're wolf heads. I mean, come on, this looks great. This looks like I'm actually buying a Space Wolves unit, not just a Primaris unit with some Space Wolves decal on it. So this definitely looks a lot more like what I'm into. And seeing these guys here with all their weapons, you know, it's really cool to see that these guys are, again, blade guard, right? So they're supposed to have these melee weapons. We see the chain swords, the axes, the power axes, just awesome stuff coming from Joytoy. I do believe on top of that, the two guys in the middle, we've never gotten these specific heads before, so this will be your first way of being able to get those specifically, and at least in that color. And then on top of that, these two in the middle, the unhelmeted ones, do come with helmeted heads. So if you end up buying, let's say, 2 sets of these, it's totally fine. You're just gonna have, you know, let's say 8 squads with 2 of them unhelmeted. So again, really cool looking stuff. This is what I initially imagine when I hear a non-regular Ultramarines unit. This is what I imagine. This is what they should look like. They should look very different. They should have distinct markings. They should have distinct just pieces onto the armor that make them look like a totally different unit. And I'm hoping that that means that we're going to get that across all the other Space Marine Legions that we're hopefully going to get in the future. And now just for one last peek, look at those pelts on the back, man. They look masterfully painted. Again, I know this isn't going to be how they actually show up to us. They're not going to be this nicely painted, but, you know, if you guys are people that customize, you can go in there and make it look like this if you want to. And I just like the fact that we're getting these pelts, that they're not just giving us a small sigil or a foxtail looking thing. We're getting full on wolf pelts on these guys. And there's just a round of applause you got to give Joytoy to, you know, go out of their way to give us something like this. Now, as of right now, there is no word in terms of pricing. I imagine because these guys come with a bit more stuff, you know, either individually or if they come together as a unit, I imagine you'll be able to buy them individually. More than likely, this is going to be a little bit of a more pricier figure, but that's okay. This comes with everything I would have wanted. Now, segueing into some Acid Rain news, if you're living in North America and not Canada, I mean literally United States and potentially other countries as of right now, the Acid Rain World mobile app, which is supposed to be a game and most likely will be a hub for all the figures and news moving forward, is now available for pre-register basically. So you can pre-register yourself and then you'll get notification when it does come out. If you're an Acid Rain fan, I definitely think that this is the time to do this. Sign up, make sure you're a part of it. It's definitely going to be an information hub for you, and it's definitely going to be a way that we all probably get our news moving forward, as there'll be releases that'll be worldwide and we'll get to find them all out probably through here. Now, at the 2022 Taipei Toy Festival, Acid Rain, or basically Toy Alliance, showed us all the different stuff that they're going to be getting. Now, initially, I was I shouldn't say scared, but as you guys can tell, a lot of conventions are starting to open up again. And because of that, I get the feeling that a lot of stuff is going to start to become basically an event exclusive, where basically, unless you're there, you're just not going to be able to get your hands on it. That doesn't seem to be the case. I was able to confirm, I do believe it says it on there, that in Q4, everything you see here is going to be available at piaclub.com. So it'll technically still be an exclusive, let's say, to the site, but it'll be available maybe in limited quantity to most people. But that's kind of what they said last time, and Big Bad Toy Store still got their own batch of it. So more than likely, this will be widely available. So of the first event exclusives, here we're getting the Sniper Squad from the Arc Corps. I'm not a big fan of these guys. I think they're a little too small. I think the guns are a little too huge. They're just... This was basically Toy Alliance's way of trying to make Warhammer stuff. So, I mean, if this is something that you're into, I do like the aesthetic for the most part. Not my cup of tea though, but again, if this is your type of thing, this is right up your alley. You're gonna love the way this looks. I think this is a new color palette as well. I don't think we've gotten green before, so if you're collecting, you know, your different armies, these are your salamanders right here, so make sure you pick them up. On top of that, we've seen basically Toy Alliance do this before, or I guess it would have been necessarily the company before Ori Toys that did this, where basically you get these green kind of small soldiers or like the army toys color. Basically, I guess this wouldn't necessarily be a real unit. This is just kind of like a custom unit. You could probably paint it yourself if you want to. You could take this as basically an artist proof, right? Just spray this down with matte black primer, paint it how you want to. That's pretty cool. But again, if not, you do get that basically army soldiers look, which is going to be appealing to the people that like that. And actually, follow-up question for you guys. Do you guys like this? Do you guys like the fact that we'd be getting basically this army green that you could take as an artist proof, you know, for custom? Or, you know, would you guys prefer a totally unpainted, you know, gray color for your customs? Now this right here is the must-buy piece, at least for me. I don't know about you guys, but Soul Commander, man, I wanted one of these back in the day. And more importantly, this Soul Commander, I think Deserter is what the other one's called. I guess it's a version of him that's, I guess, deserted the Argerts. I mean, I want this. This is a must-buy for me. And a lot of people did talk about this. I'm in the premium Facebook group where they basically mentioned that this looks a lot like what they initially imagined Acid Rain to be, a more cleaner aesthetic, not too bulky. It's what really got them back into it. And I really like this because it makes me wonder if we're going to be getting more of these, because he is part of the, I believe they're called the 88th District Troopers. So that's different than all the other 88th stuff. So I would be very, very happy if we got other soldiers for him to obviously command in the future, because again, very solid look, and this is a must buy. I might even buy 2 or 3. Now following that up, we're also going to get a signed boys, so I don't know if signed, I think it's going to be signed by Kit Lau probably, and it'll probably just be your standard one but with his signature on it. I'm wondering if it's going to be hand signed or is it going to be just printed his signature on it. Either way, I'm sure it's going to give it some value, but I think it would be cool if there was, I don't know, 200 of them that he just signed back to back, that you'll have one of those 200. So we'll see what they end up doing with this one. Switching over to these other guys, I forget what these are called, the ones that have these like jumpsuits. I know that they have a specific nomenclature, but here we have them under the Boss K, and I'm not a fan of this. I've never been a fan of any of these, but I think that they do have certain cool stuff that I would love to see implemented in some other Toy Alliance stuff. But this guy's wearing an orange jumpsuit, has those huge fists that look pretty badass. I feel like they could totally retrofit this on some other kind of figure. And then of course the skull head, it looks pretty cool, but the rest of it, not my aesthetic, not for me. Now these next 3 I definitely would never buy, but again, some of you might absolutely love this. This is the Monster Child A with Gatling gun and a skateboard with the overalls, no crazy face. I would never buy this, but I know that some of you do like this. There's obviously a market for it, and you're getting 3, an A, B, and C. Let me show you guys. So here we have B, and Monster Child B seems to only come with a skateboard, so I don't know if they all maybe come with more, but that's the equipment that we're seeing here. So in terms of pricing, I feel like you get the least amount with him, or maybe this one's the cheapest one, but definitely the most, or should I say the least interesting one. And then last but not least, we have Monster Child C, which basically has the same setup as A, which is the Gatling gun and the skateboard. And then the only real thing that I see changing is I think the slight shade of color in the overalls and I think the shirt, and then the hair is a different color, but other than that, they're basically the exact same figure, just repainted over. This one right here is definitely also not my style, but I kind of dig this one a little bit more. If somebody was going to gift me any of these, if you know I didn't want any of them, this would be the one I'd be least mad about. Lightning is what he's referred to. I think he is a fairly creative looking guy. Looks like a glass head filled with cotton for clouds and a lightning bolt coming out of it. I mean, there's some originality here. Definitely, I would love to see some kind of funny comic book strip with these guys, because I feel like they would fit in perfectly in some kind of like comedic, manga or something like that. So today in the morning, we actually got to see solicitations from Gundamit.com I'm totally surprised to see this. I didn't think we'd get this. I don't know if anybody asked for it. I don't really know what the demand is for it, but from Squid Games, basically the soldiers that we see, well, I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but let's just call them the soldiers that we see in the show. We have them right here, man. They do actually kind of look kind of good. I'm not going to lie. They match the colors up fairly nicely, and you get all of them, square, circle, and triangle. Now, here we have more solicitation style figures, or should I say photos, right? The other one is more realistically what they look like. And this is them, in a nice solicited photo. So they look perfectly fine. The guns actually look really nice. I'm wondering really how tall they are, because I would love to see those guns be able to be used with, let's say, Joytoy stuff. Might give you a reason to buy a couple of these. But it seems to be that they do come with a stand individually. I'm not the biggest fan of that, because I imagine that the stand is going to cost a certain amount of money, and there's a gun or two that we could have gotten without the stand. Like, maybe this guy could have came with that MP5, and I know they use other guns. I saw pistols, so the decision to give us that instead of giving us a gun, I'm never a big fan of, but hey, at least you do have a stand with a peg in it, and you'll be able to buy a few of these and have them not lined up perfectly and easily. The most impressive part, I think, for me is how good that lower body articulation is. Even the top body seems to look pretty good. It seems to be fairly good in terms of like what Joytoy can do. It might, be even a little bit better than that. But I do say that the legs themselves are really good. Let me show you why. Shazam! That's why. Look at that. Holy crap. The fact that you can split their legs like that, I mean, I know you kind of can do that with Acid Rain, you kind of can do that with Joytoy. I feel like Joytoy is a bit harder to do that with, but I mean, man, you can get a lot out of those joints, and they are crisp. So that's something that for me is surprisingly impressive. Not that you would need to do this pose, I mean, or maybe there's a part in the show where you can do that, but I feel here they're just flexing on people like, hey, look what our figure can do. And now, speaking about flexing, I feel like Joytoys at this point are just flexing on us. Here they have their Adeptus Sororitas, their Judge Hershey. Man, this is a cool looking figure. Again, I told myself I was going to stay away from this kind of stuff. I was lying. I was big capping. I had no idea what I was talking about. I don't know if it's because she looks like an Adeptus Sororitas, or what exactly it is. Like last week or a few weeks ago, they let us know that we were getting the other blonde female judge, and I don't know if it's just the way they look, or just they just look incredible to me. Just a heightened level, and it's a new buck too, because I don't think we've had a female judge before. So we have the other two that we got before that were male bucks. Now we got this female buck that's being used, and I think it's a very attractive looking piece. I can already imagine both of them together. It's gonna look great on your shelf, including the other judges. Now, she has the same setup that all the other judges have, basically the baton that you saw earlier, the gun that they're gonna come with. Not sure if I don't remember seeing a helmet on the blonde chick, so I don't know if either one of the female characters comes with a helmet, and to be honest, I don't know if it's canon for them to use it in the comics. I haven't read enough of the comics to know that, but I don't care. These head sculpts look beautiful. I mean, imagine her and the rest of the squads, and trust me, they're up 4 judges right now. They're probably going to release another 4. Once you have them all together, man, I am a sucker for people that are in the same uniform, slightly different sizes, male and female, like whether it be police officers or soldiers. I love that army building stuff, and I love it when you're able to technically army build the same figure, kind of like clones, right? You're army building basically the same figure, right? If you get like the ARC troopers, but one has a different head, one has a different tattoo, one has a different helmet. That kind of stuff is just always awesome to see, and it's awesome to see it here. The only thing I will say is that the articulation seems to look, it looks limited. I feel like you can probably get about 90 in the arms, and in the legs, it looks like you can probably get further than 90 in the bend. But I bought a Predator recently from Joytoys, not really impressed. So I'm going into this thinking I'm not necessarily setting the bar low, but I know what I'm looking at. I think they look great. I think they're gonna look awesome on the shelf, and I'll get just enough articulation out of them to feel like it was a good purchase, especially at a $20 price point. I mean, there's only so much you can ask at that point, and you know, these are like specialty figures at this point. So love what I'm seeing, and again, this is a must buy. I'm now officially hooked to Joytoys and everything they're going to be coming out with the Judge Dredd line this year, because this is, I think, technically supposed to drop before the end of this year. So we have 4 judges on the way. And again, just to top it all off, I mean, here she looks great with her gun. Yeah, I can already imagine that they're going to take a photo and it's going to have all the judges laid around her and she's going to look awesome. And on top of that, in the comics, she does become the chief judge. So this is probably going to get repacked soon enough with that chief signal basically on her chest. It'll look basically the same, but I'm going to buy both because again, this is just very incredible looking. Alright, Trial Mob, so there you have it, a super packed week of just all kinds of releases. There's just a bunch of stuff going on right now, and normally I would try to make 2 separate videos, but I think it'll be a bit smoother for me to just put it all together the way you guys just saw it. So I hope you guys did enjoy that. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It helps my algorithm, it helps me get more views. It's going to make it a lot better for me to be able to bring you guys more consistent content. And of course, let me know what you guys are most excited for. For me, it's definitely going to be those Joytoy Space Wolves and the Soul Commander, and definitely the Judge Hershey. I really appreciate what all these companies are doing, and it's all 118 stuff, man. I'm telling you, this is going to be the golden era for us. So definitely the right time right now to be getting into all these lines, as you have a lot to build. But again, make sure you're supporting, make sure you're subscribing, and if you can, share my stuff. But until then, I'll catch you guys on the next one.